Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are breaking down our top five picks. For top five and one worst picks for level 9 Cleric Spells. We've made it all the way to level 9. But, just like last week, we don't have enough for top five and one worst. There are only 5 level 9 Cleric Spells, so
That's
we'll be
more than
covering them all.
that's more than there were 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 had 4.
Great.
So
Moving back up in the
technically,
world.
we can do top 5 and
Yeah.
one worst. The one worst being
Number 5.
the top 5. Yeah.
So I know what your top 5 list is because you don't rank yours.
Yeah, my top
mine
5
is
list is the spells.
yeah, mine is ranked 1 to 5. Although I'm gonna level with you. I don't know. These all I think I would rate almost any upcast 7th or 8th level spell probably above almost all of these. I think there's one outlier. But let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's see. Is the outlier your number 1?
I think so.
And is that power word heal?
No,
No?
it's mass heal.
Oh, mass heal. Oh, that's what I meant. Shucks.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, naturally.
I think mass heal 700s is just so many hit points. When you need your party to all be back at full HP, oftentimes that's just what mass heal says. If you were going to make a 9th level healing spell, if it wasn't every party member returns to full HP, this is probably the number that you'd want it to be for it to justify it. This is going to eat a lot of actions in that things are going to have to spend a lot of actions reducing those hit points back down from 150 to 0. So you, like, 3/4 of the way through a fight, you guys look like you're losing, the whole squad's going down, and everyone's, bloodied and beaten, and the wizard's unconscious in the corner, and the barbarian's got 3 HP left, and you go, that's it! Mass heal, rally the troops, and then everyone goes back up to full HP and goes, oh, this is now a cakewalk. All of a sudden, we have way more HP than this fight can deal with, and you turn things around. Now,
Yes.
caveat, what if instead you used a 9th level spell like Wish or True Polymorph or Meteor Rain or Meteor Swarm, whatever it is, the one that I always say the name wrong of,
Meteor
and just
Swarm.
won the encounter instead?
Yeah, but that's not an option here.
That's true. You could upcast Conjure Celestial and get a unicorn. You could upcast Create Undead and get an army of wights, and there's an army of zombies. You could upcast other powerful things for big game ending effects. I'd probably do that. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to be the cleric, cleric, if you want to do what your big casty spell is for 9th level, it really is, to me, like, just mass heal. Like, that's just like kind of the only one that I'm gonna get excited about taking on as a cleric in the upper tiers, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think I've asked this when we were talking about the specific spells, but when are you ever using power word heal over mass heal?
You're
I
not.
guess if there's conditions attached, so that's something.
So yeah, power word heal it's not my worst. It's my number 4. So power word heal removes charmed, frightened, paralyzed, and stun conditions, and it lets them stand up. So if you don't care about getting more creatures more hit points, and instead would rather have one creature not be charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned, there might be a case where that happens. I'm never excited to use my 9th level spell for that impact. That impact is not good enough. If removing the condition is often good enough, and Greater Restoration does that just fine. Wish also can do that, and also does about 30 other things. All of that is to say power word heal does give you a lot, but it's not enough for it to be an 9th level spell in my mind. That's why I don't love power word heal, especially whenever you compare to, like, 700 hit points is multiple characters back to full HP. Power word heal is a creature back to full HP minus a condition. And I think more often than not, you'd rather have everyone get topped up and actually spend that well of hit points than one person gets 150 HP back and is no longer charmed. I would rather just probably Greater Rest of that person to remove the charm condition if that's what I really care about in that moment.
If they are charmed and frightened and paralyzed and stunned.
One of the 4 is probably, like, if something's stunned, being able to say, okay, the paladin, you're no longer stunned, you probably also don't care about putting them back to full HP. You probably just like, great, now the paladin continue beating to death whatever stunned them. And that's
I'm just saying enough. If he has all of these conditions on him at the same time.
Sure.
Then
this does get rid of all
might be worth it.
I mean, if that is ever occurring, incredible. I need to figure out, that's very much a how did we get here kind of moment.
All right, well that's let's see. Don't mention save your number 5 for the end.
You know what it is. I believe in you. You know what it is.
I feel like I do, but I've felt that way before, and this one has some contenders.
It does. It does.
Let's
You want to
see.
guess my 3? Or I guess we haven't done my 2 yet either, huh? We can do either of those.
All right. Is True Resurrection?
True Resurrection is my 3.
You're 3. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. That would make
It was not
that would have
easy.
that would have to make Gate your 2.
Correct.
All right. Talk about Gate, because that one confuses me. Why did it make your number 2?
Because it's worse than Plane Shift, but still Plane Shift is pretty good. That's the reason why I made my number 2. I think the moment you get under Mass Heal, we're in a category of these probably would have been fine as 8th level spells or lower. And that is not nearly where you want to be with 9th level spells. But you're a cleric and you don't get any other options. You get these 5. So Gate is you conjure a point between 2 planes that is open for a minute, and that portal is 20 foot in diameter. So you basically like make the dark portal from World of Warcraft or whatever, right? You create this extra dimensional zone things can move through. Then things can go through it. In addition, you can also call things from the portal using it. So whenever you cast a spell, you can speak the name of a specific creature. If that creature is on a plane other than the one you are on, the portal is opened in the named creature's immediate vicinity and draws them through the portal to the nearest unoccupied space. So you can like yoink things from other planes of existence here, and they don't get a save. It just happens. So if you happen to know, like, there's one angel named Jim really screwed us out of this contract. Jim, get over here. If you're willing to spend a 9th level spell on it, that will get Jim to your location, which is neat. It's a little bit of extra upside over something like Plane Shift, which I think is, again, probably doing what Gate does better for the most part, because you really mostly care about moving your party places. But having Plane Shift attached to a summoning feature like that, it's a pretty high fantasy, high magic ability. It really won't work at a lot of tables that there is a planar adventure on the one plane. We're playing on this world. I don't really care about what's happening outside of this world. This makes Gate a lot less useful and pretty uncastable in those tables.
I don't know. I mean, you can still yoink.
It has to be not something from a plane that is not the plane you were on.
Right,
so if
but you're staying on this plane. You're not interdimensionally traveling. You're just bringing somebody over.
Be like,
hey,
I know,
Satan, I need your help.
In a world where you don't necessarily even know the name of Satan, right? Like, let's say you're in just a very classic kind of sword and board classic fantasy. There's big old evil dragons. You're running around in a medieval Europe-esque environment, very regular Aragon kind of fantasy.
Right.
That world doesn't have extraterrestrial beings. It doesn't have things of other planes that you necessarily care about. And there's going to be a lot of homebrew where that's the case. And it makes a lot of these kinds of spells not necessarily fit their worlds. It's not going to be most of them. Most of them are going to be Forgotten Realms Plus, which is going to be like, yeah, bring it out Asmodeus. I don't really give a shit. Sure, call down the god. He can show up here and cause a havoc or something like that. It's just, it is good. I like to include whenever we're talking about anything that's extra planar. This is not setting agnostic. This does have settings that it requires to be played in for it to function. And I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're at a table not doing that, then yeah, obviously, this is not a spell you could use.
Exactly, and it's like, I don't know. Are you putting this on your sheet? Maybe it costs $5,000 to use. Man,
if I need Satan,
am I specifically insane right now? Yeah, sure.
But the thing is, it's not like a summoning spell where Satan just pops up and says, "What do you want?" No, he could just why did you bring me here? Boom, boom, boom,
or just leave.
You. Yeah,
like most of those kinds of really super powerful creatures that you'd want to summon can just do that at will a lot of the time. That's like their realm, like gods and whatnot. I would expect to be able to traverse the planes in sort of a different axis, especially if something like Gate can exist. They really do need to be able to like freely move between worlds. So that's probably not something you're gonna have all that consistent usage out of. Still, it could be really funny. Maybe you just happen to know like the name of some really angry Baylor or something stuck in the abyss, and you'd be like, okay, I hate this town. Baylor, get over here. We're leaving. And then it just is there now, and it doesn't have a way to get back, and it kills everything.
All right, I think you've made good arguments for that being number 2.
Out of these 5 specifically.
Oh yeah. Where does that leave us? That was True Resurrection is your number 3.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
No, but I completely understand.
Like, it's the amount of more juice you would need to get True Resurrection to be like better than a 5th level spell is you need to specifically care about something, and it had to have died between 100 and 200 years ago, because if it died 100 or less years ago, you can use a different resurrection spell at a cheaper slot to get it back. And if it died over 200 years ago, that doesn't work anyway. I really think this should just say, you resurrect a creature that has been dead. Doesn't matter how long it's been dead. That feels like it's a 9th level spell. That's where we should be at. If it died of old, or if the soul is free and willing. Alternatively, we throw out that text too. If you can bring back people that don't want to be brought back, this is more of a 9th level spell then. But it's not. The creature has to be willing to come back. It then makes them like they come back with all their form intact. So if you don't have a body, this builds them back their body. Sure. I don't know. I think the vast majority of resurrection spells lower level than this are just going to do its job better and cheaper. And this costs 25 grand. Sometimes you don't have a body though.
I really think, they need to get rid of that 200-year thing. And what was the other thing?
It has to be free and willing.
Free and willing. Yeah, the reason to use this spell, I mean, like you said, there are other. If you just want, Ted's dead, we need to get him back. There are other options.
Yeah.
The reason to use this spell is, the ancient dwarf king. We found his bones, and
the ancient dwarf king that has died between 100 and 200 years ago specifically.
No. I'm saying like we need to get rid of that because we want the ancient dwarf king. He doesn't want to come back. He's up in Valhalla or something.
Having a good time. He's partying. He's like, who's calling me right now?
He died 6,000 years ago. We need your help. We need you to solve a riddle for us.
I think that should be the scope of the spell, right? That seems like more appropriate than a race. Like, if you think about it in the terms of like our lives, it's like 4 or 5 generations back tops. That's how far back this goes. And that doesn't seem like in a game with creatures that live for tens of thousands of years, this seems like nothing. Like, if you're a regular dwarf, you could be in your mid 400s and be like, my wife died back when I was 106. I'm 550 now, and I'd love to bring her back to life, and she wants to come back to life, but I literally can't. And that's like, if a 20-year-old got to 60 and found a way to bring his dead wife back, and now he can't. And that just feels weird, right? Like, it feels arbitrary, too. Like, why is it
poorly thought out? All right, why do you think they put that in there?
Because they hate fun. I don't know. I would guess that it has to do with being legacied in from older versions. A lot of 5e has just these weird things that are like, this is text, I guess, sure. And there might be reasoning like you don't want to allow these ageless, indefinite things, but that's the point of Dungeons and Dragons, is like liches and undead and things, and like, elves living 10,000 years. Like
liches and undead are a different thing. That's
right, but like when we're talking about in the scope of living for long periods of time and being ageless and undying, that's within the scope of D&D. Things do that already. 200 years feels like a really weird number to be like, this is the cutoff for 9th level magic.
Yeah, but I mean, things live forever. However, there's a trade-off. I want to live forever. I don't necessarily want to be a lich.
Sure, but then you just need to make sure you're resurrected once every 200 years as opposed to once every 500 years, which feels ridiculously arbitrary.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, even if you are, I get stabbed tomorrow, 190 years from now, somebody resurrects me. I just pick up from this point. I've still got old age to deal with eventually,
which will eventually kill you.
Yes.
Which is
so like commenters, I want to know your thoughts. Why does it have these stipulations?
And another stipulation that we didn't really talk about, we talked about free, or we talked about willing. We didn't talk about free. So souls can be trapped. That's a thing that like canonically magic items and stuff do. Like Soul Cage traps a creature's soul and it can't be resurrected while it's in that. So your DM already has a release valve for this, right? They can already say the soul is like, even if a soul could be on Valhalla, maybe souls physically cannot leave the realm of Valhalla in this world, right? That could be a reasonable way to turn off spells if you don't want players to access this kind of magic. There was already a way to mitigate this. You don't need 5 layers of mitigation for what is supposed to be the best resurrection thing in the game. This is so much like, this almost feels just like a extra 100-year span on resurrection.
Yeah.
And that's not good enough. It's just not. And that's my number 3.
We have talked about your number 4, right? That was power word heal. I mean,
Yeah,
you got anything else to say about it? It's well, we didn't really talk. We just talked about why mass heal is better. But
yeah,
your power word heal, that's just you're better, right?
yeah. And like
You one
now there
guy are no longer charmed, and you've got full hit points.
the reality of it is, I think heal restores 70 HP, and oftentimes that's just enough, and that's way lower level.
Yeah.
It also ends blinds and diseases and deafness, which is another suite of conditions you'd want to end. So that's like, I would say, close to par with Power Word Heal in a lot of situations. Power Word Heal does things that Greater Restoration solves the problems for, and Lesser Restoration solves different problems. So all of these sort of lower tier spells that clerics kind of expected to get already solve the problems Power Word Heal solves. For the most part, right? If you really care, the Paladin is paralyzed. Their HP probably isn't your primary concern. You're probably primarily concerned with them being unable to take actions. And restoring their from paralysis solves that problem. You don't necessarily need your 9th level biggest, most powerful magic to solve that problem. You have other tools that you want to be using your biggest, most powerful spell slot for.
And if they're paralyzed or frightened or charmed or whatever, and at really low HP, I mean, they'll probably shed the condition with a saving throw if they just get to live a little bit longer. I mean,
Yeah.
how many effects, like, or spells or whatever, make these conditions permanent?
We're in
There's
a
probably
tier where,
magic
like,
items or artifacts or something. Yeah.
yeah, we are fighting against bigger and scarier things. I think there won't be a zero amount of instances where Power Word Heal is castable. That's why it's not the worst. Well, that's not the only reason it's not the worst. I think it's the least castable of the 4 we've talked about yet. I think there'll be niche situations where you'll be like, okay, because so the barbarian or the paladin is going to be immune to a lot of these conditions anyway. There are a lot of character classes and options that, like, subclasses will just give you immunity to charm, give you immunity to frighten. There are things like protection from good and evil that give you immunity to all of these conditions. That's a first level spell slot. So, like, we have cheap ways to answer that problem. I don't think it solves paralysis or stuns, but other things do. There are always going to be cheaper options to solve those problems. If they're at like 4, Power Word Heal does it. If they're at 0, they're probably not also stunned, paralyzed, or charmed, though. Because that condition doesn't subsist through unconsciousness, I don't think. Maybe it does. In which case, Power Word Heal, like, I guess, sure. But I'd still rather just have, like, heal. I'd still rather have the concise, easy, clean, you get X hit points back as you can get right now. I don't even love heal that much. I think often healing word's going to get them up long enough to enact the big impactful things. You probably don't ever want to have to be spending your 9th level spells on Power Word Heal, and instead just be using Mass Heal, because that's going to solve way more problems in preventing TBK and turn a loss into a win. That's what 9th level spells need to be doing. This is like comparable to so many lower level options. I just can't ever want to prepare this.
And yet, it is not the worst.
No,
We
no, it's not.
well, good news. We are agreed on the worst. I'm not really participating in this list, but I did have to choose a worst, and it is Astral Projection.
Yeah, it's Astral Projection.
Just, I mean, it really the whole cord cutting.
It's so stupid. I love that. So we have Gate. Gate is a way to create a portal between 2 planes of existence and move there, and it summons things. You have Plane Shift, which you take your squad and you go and fly to a different plane of existence. You have Teleport that takes you around the plane you're currently on. What if you wanted to make that harder and risk instantaneous death?
Completely at the DM's discretion.
Well, then you have Astral Projection. If Astral Projection is the biggest middle finger to your DM ever, whenever you go, I want you to come up with an adventure right now on the fly of how we're navigating whatever astral soup is out there that may not have ever been a part of this world prior. I'm taking Astral Projection, we're doing it. And everyone just then sits unconscious somewhere. Their bodies can still be just murdered regularly, right? Like a random peasant come around and be like, these are high-level adventures have a lot of money on them. Behead. And then all of a sudden people are just gone and they have all your things and bad things happen to you because you were astral projecting and just willingly putting yourself unconscious to go on a random adventure in another world that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the current world that you're on. It's stupid. This should be its own form of game, not a 9th level spell. This isn't a 9th level spell. This is a weird mini game that you're asking the DM to play that has a whole bunch of hiccups that could end with you randomly spontaneously dying. No, this is not a 9th level spell. This is one of, if not the worst spell in the game. It's horrifically bad.
No argument here. Yeah, big middle finger to the DM, and they can give you a middle finger right back with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to play your crappy adventure. I'm going somewhere else. Well, guess what? You're dead.
The character you've been building up for these past 2 years? Yeah. Snip, snip. There goes the Astral cord. See you next time, bud. Let's go and play with other people.
Oh, man.
Short video.
Yeah, it has been. Well, I mean, we are only as good as our tools.
Yeah, listen. Clerics, I'm sorry that your 9th level spells have to be this bad. I'm sorry that your 8th level spells have to be this bad. Your early game is really nuts, though, so, like, that's pretty solid. You're no wizards in the upper tier, but...
Probably makes Cleric good for multicasting.
Multiclassing Cleric seems fine, yeah. Clerics are really good at multiclassing just because of they get their first level makes them really easy to dip into. Like, think about taking 1 level in Cleric, you're getting cantrips, you're getting first level spell slots, 2 of them, and you're getting a domain. Whew, and then you take a second level, you get your channel divinities, which also give you a second subclass feature baked into it. You get a lot. Cleric,
and you don't care about your upper level spells, so you don't feel like you're trading off that much.
Yeah, whenever like your upper level spells are control weather and mass heal, and we're at to be like, yeah, these are the reasons you should stick in Cleric.
I mean,
no, thank you.
I've got to take a look at this list again. All right, our options are Astral Projection and Gate, which are both nigh unusable. 2 healing spells, one
pretty usable.
One you use and one you don't.
Yep.
And then True Resurrection you probably never use.
Yeah, True Resurrection is just a worse version of the 7th level spell Resurrection. Because it costs 2 levels higher, it does almost exactly the same thing. Yep. Which is a worse version of the 3rd level spell Revivify.
Yeah, well, there are going to be windows when you can't use Revivify.
That's true, and then you take the 8-hour break and you use Resurrection in that window. Or
all right, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You use Raise Dead because Raise Dead is only a 5th level spell. There's a cheaper version than Resurrection. I really think like what they should have done is just taken Raise Dead and made its upcasting True Resurrection and the other one, and then just make it all into one, and then we don't have to talk about it ever again. We can just talk about it in the Raise Dead video. And so we talk about it every single time. They're like, but this is a slightly longer version of it.
But it does, I mean, it feels like, a Cleric 9th level spell list should include a Resurrection option, an ultimate one. Just, like, I don't know, make it better than this somehow. I
think we discussed pretty concisely how it could be better than this.
Oh, well, yeah, take off those 2 restrictions. But, yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's still going to be a really niche use case.
Yeah. But like that, for a 9th level spell, I want to be able to meet this big historical figure that was like some evil tyrant or some ancient hero or some, like if I'm doing 9th level Resurrection, and we're in a Greek setting, I want to meet Odysseus, right? I want to have the ability to rally some of the most powerful and important historical figures of the time to my team, because that's what a 9th level slot is worth. Whenever the wizard can turn into whatever they want, literally whatever they want, you should have access to the deep well of history. You should have access to the clerical things.
You should be able to do Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Exactly. Bring Abe Lincoln along.
Sam?
I have seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's a classic. That's a good one.
All right. Well, that was our 9th level. Man, that's a sad ending to this adventure.
I really wanted like Massiel to be like my 3. That's where I would hope that hits, but it's my 1, and it's not by a very far margin. Gate would probably make my 5 on a better caster spell list, but.
All right. Well, that was our level 9 cleric spells. Go back and watch the better earlier ones. And stay tuned for whatever's coming next. I'm not sure what we're going to cover next, but it'll be something,
It'll be
and
something.
it'll be next week.
Whoop.
Yeah, and we've already done Wizards, so go look at that. Leave us some comments. Let us know what I guess what order you'd put these crap spells in.
Yeah.
And
I'm also
or if you love astral projection, let us know.
I'm also interested in specifically Power Word Heal. Again, we didn't really preface this by saying we've cast these spells ones of times. I have seen exactly and only Mass Heal cast. I have seen none other of these spells actually cast at the table. I would be interested to say, no, Power Word Heal was really worth it. I've seen it cast a couple of times. It was baller. I would be amazed to hear that story as to it wouldn't be better than like a great Arresto, but okay. Hit me with it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.